Skeleton Key here. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute. Yeah, I I was unexpectedly detained, I guess you might say. It's been a rough summer and fall, and yeah, heading into winter now, kind of, sorta. I mean, we didn't actually get that much snow up here. We got a dusting that melted immediately, so not like the southeast section of Colorado that got majorly dumped on. But yeah, it's been a rough time. Um, so I guess this is a welcome back, and I apologize. I'm probably gonna be like, how do I do this again? How do I share a screen? What? Yeah, it's still kind of difficult. My voice gives out a lot more easily now, and I'm not sure why. And but yeah, just sitting upright is, the more I do that, the faster I get exhausted, and the faster my nerves start getting pinched and everything. And yeah, it's a fun time. But I'm hoping to get back into something vaguely resembling a regular schedule. And and I'm glad to be here. And yeah, I hope we get to chat about books for a while. We'll see how long I last. And let's see. I was going to let you know. Let's see. Okay, share screen. Share screen. Not the tab, the window. Okay, so hopefully that is showing up. Yes, looks like it is showing up. All right. So I have been trying to post now and then, but then I saw that, the Goodreads Choice Awards nominees dropped, and I thought, this is a good time as any to go ahead and get this going, because as you can see here, I'm doing the bucket list-a-thon, and that's Danny Dabbles, at Danny.Dabbles. So over here on YouTube. And so I'm hoping to concentrate on my physical TBR. I may end up regretting that, because a lot of times lately, all I can do is audiobooks. So just holding a lot of my books, like Agatha Christie's and stuff like that, are easier to hold. But still, audiobooks seem to be really helpful to me. And then, so my first roll landed me on new releases, and I did read a new release it was an Amazon Prime short story thing that just came out, and I finished that, but it was not part of my physical TBR. And part of this, I chose my starting point as physical TBR, and that is so I need at least half of the books I read for this to be physical. So I've got to come up with, okay, so my second, and here we go, Goodreads Choice Awards 2024. I did not hit that one. Here's what I read. It was enjoyable. I had never even heard of that author before. So, but yeah, it was good. It was a fun time. All right. But here I skipped over Goodreads nominee, and I landed on Hyped Read because I rolled a 2. So I need preferably a physical book for my physical TBR that is a Hyped Read. So let me stop sharing, because now you've seen that. All right. going to show you some hyped reads on my shelves and see what we've got. So I went and I kind of looked back at the old winners, not just nominees, but winners, to see what I had on my shelves from the Goodreads Choice Awards. And I have a lot of thoughts and feelings and stuff like that about Goodreads Choice Awards. And I mean, I have a lot of mixed feelings, and I wish they did things a lot differently, but I'm not Amazon. Amazon owns Goodreads, and yeah, so it's a big whole political thing. I mean, it's reading, right? So it's I have a book channel, so it's not, it's not a political channel, but reading is political. So, and I don't have a whole lot of spoons to devote to that right now. So, pretty much that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, if you've watched my other videos, a lot of times, yeah, I go off on little rants, political rants, because that are connected very closely to what I'm reading. So you can expect that. Let's see. Let me just check comments real quick. Okay, so no comments in the chat yet. So yeah, if you are here, just go ahead. Feel free to say hi in the chat here. And also, if you are watching this on the replay, feel free to comment in the comment section. And I mean, even if it's you don't comment in time for me to use it to make a choice tonight, I mean, it's good discussion. So yes, I hope you will chat or comment or something. So here's one that, and I don't remember this being hyped when it came out, but I'm not into graphic novels and webtoons and stuff. But this is Lore Olympus Volume 1, and I started it for a book club, and then it's, I don't know, I wouldn't say I'm not enjoying it. It's a Persephone retelling, and I never really have quite understood the appeal of the Persephone and Hades story. And I mean, everyone talks about how romantic it is, and I'm like, I don't think that's romantic. But I don't know. I'm me, so what do I know? But that's something I have on my shelves that I have not read yet. At least I haven't finished it yet. And it is, it won the Goodreads Choice Awards that year in a category that doesn't exist anymore, because that's something I have feelings about. So yeah, I wonder what they've done to really cock up the categories this year. We'll find out in a little bit. Here's another book. I have a lot of book club books that I didn't finish in time for the book club, and I skimmed to the end for the discussion. Either that, or I just set them aside and skip the discussion. That happens sometimes as well. But this is Cemetery Boys, about cemetery boys, and it's witches and brujos, and this was longlisted for the 2020 National Book Award for Young People's Literature, so that's hype. And I do remember this one being hyped when it came out. And I was hoping to get to this during spooky season. I think it's still spooky season. I'd say all the way up to Thanksgiving is still spooky season, because it's dark and gloomy. And of course, the weather's always doing weird things. Here's one that I am almost finished with, and this has been for several different book clubs, and this is Circe. This is by Madeline Miller, who wrote The Song of Achilles. I never can remember that title. Is it The Song for Achilles? The Song of Achilles? It's The Song of Achilles. And this, it was a little hard to get into at first, but then it got going, and then other stuff came up and I had to kind of set it aside. So I would love to get back to this one. I'd like to get back to all of these, but you know how it is. Chaos on Netflix has an interesting take on Persephone and Hades. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, I remember you saying something about that. Yeah, I should watch that. Um, and I kind of have a hard time with Greek mythology in general, Greek and Roman, and to some extent Norse, because it's like, okay, in this storyline, what is Hades doing? or whatever. But I like that, and I think that's what I like about Madeline Miller is she makes stuff make sense, and she puts it into a coherent story. So I don't know. And then this is one that I plan to read for Neurovember, which is, oh no, I'm blanking on it. Cat, I think, and I can't remember the channel. I'll look it up and let you know. But or you can just look for Neurovember, which is a readathon for neurodiversity and neurodivergence. You know, all sorts of different kinds of neurodivergence. And this was a winner. Or no, it was a different. I don't think this one was a winner, but I think this one was pretty hyped. This is Thinking in Pictures by Temple Grandin. And I've read one. I've read one of her books, the one about animals, and yeah, Animals Make Us Human, I think was the title, and it was pretty good. Her writing style is a little different. You have to kind of get used to that. I have heard, and I think they're valid criticisms, but I have heard criticisms of some of her work. I have not read this yet. I haven't even started it, I don't think. Or no, it looks like I made it to page 12. I think this is for a book club, and but this, if I recall correctly, usually for book clubs for nonfiction, if I have the physical copy, I will skip around all over the place, and I have no idea how much I actually read. Jeff Goldblum is Zeus. Oh my, that sounds like a good time, actually. A wacky time, but yeah. And let's see. Okay, so this is the last one that I just, gathered up. I'm sure I have more, especially on my wall of shame. But this is one that it was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, and what else? But this I read because it was on the BookTube prize list this year, and this is North. Yeah, I've noticed that with this haircut, I can just completely disappear. Not even having to hold a book in front of my face. But anyway. Northwoods by Daniel Mason. But so if I occasionally just kind of completely disappear, a lot of times it happens if I do that. Yeah. Anyway. Fun with green screen. And this is fascinating, but it is not a quick read at all. So this is one that I find myself just kind of picking up and reading a little bit. And so I kind of lose track of stuff, but it's one of those books that I'm not sure you're supposed to keep track of stuff, except that I'm told that some of the people from earlier come back later, and I don't know, but I'm told the ending is really weird. So we'll see what I think about that. But anyway, so these are possibilities, although all of them except Thinking in Pictures are kind of long. Lore Olympus is graphic novel, although I kind of take a long time with graphic novels because of how my brain kind of tries to process everything at once and fails miserably. And it's like, okay, let's go process the words. Let's go process the pictures. And Anyway, so that is that. Now, before my voice gives out completely, let's go look at the Goodreads Choice nominees. So, settings, present, share screen. Bear with me, window. Okay, so I think I can get there from here. All right. Move this over here a little bit. Here we go. Goodreads Choice Awards 2024. And, 15 categories. Interesting. How many did they have last year? I don't know. Okay, so the first, let's just do, I do have some things on my shelves. Oh, The Familiar, which I just got snatched back to the library. So I can't finish that now. But, and that is not on my physical TBR anyway. That's an audiobook. Because most of what I'm reading lately are audiobooks. Okay, so we've got our fiction category. We've got our historical fiction, mystery and thriller. They still have not split those up. It really kind of pisses me off. Yeah, a lot of stuff about Goodreads Choice pisses me off. Just does. It's well, I mean, yeah, sure, it's a popularity contest. I get it. But the way they do it, and yeah, their job is to sell books. They're part of Amazon. I get it. But they seem so dead set on hyping books that are already hyped. And I don't know. And also a lot of the stuff in here, at least in past years, well, I didn't see one I DNF'd already. And so, but at least in past years, a lot of the stuff has been aggressively mediocre at best. And anyway, romance, I probably won't recognize anything in the romance division. Romantasy, I actually recognize something. Fantasy, we'll see what they think fantasy is. And science fiction, and yeah, and I feel like the people they have putting these lists together are not avid readers in these categories. And I'm like, really? You put that in that category? What were you thinking? That happens a lot. I don't know. Oh, I do see some T. Kingfishers, so that's promising. And horror, I never used to think of myself as a horror reader, but apparently I'm a horror reader because, yeah, we used to live here. I recognize that. Debut novel, yeah, they started that way back, almost at the beginning, I think, if not actually at the beginning. Of course, I still remember when they first started doing this in like 2009. And yeah, it was kind of it was before Amazon bought them. Audiobook. Okay, so that's new. A whole category just for audiobooks. And that kind of makes sense because there are some things that, on the page, maybe they're just fine, but a good narrator or cast can just bring something to life. I still haven't read it, but like Daisy Jones and the Six, I'm told you have to listen to that on audiobook if at all possible. Young adult fantasy and young adult fiction. I always just wonder, why do they make that distinction? And then nonfiction, memoir, and history and biography. Interesting. So 15 categories. How many were last year? Let's look at this. 4. Okay, it was 15. I remember they used to have like 20 categories, but I can understand why they want to pare it down. And I know why they went and separated out romantasy, because Fourth Wing, really. But anyway, okay, let's go back and look at. So we'll just start with fiction and just work our way through. And let's see. Orbital is apparently short, Booker Prize winner for 2024. And I did read Orbital, actually. So yeah, it doesn't work for this. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I saw somebody commented somewhere that they thought that that Orbital was a book for poets. And I'm like, yes, it's very poetic, and someone else called it a listicle book. And I'm like, well, yeah, I can kind of see that. But I enjoyed it, but I also didn't think it would go through, and I don't think it did go through to the next round on BookTube Prize. I'd have to look at that again to see. And I did not do any judging on the BookTube Prize this year, just because I knew I wouldn't be able to get to it. But I am, I'm kind of looking at the books, and I picked Northwoods because it was a BookTube Prize pick. Disappear. But yeah. Oh, I thought I clicked on fiction already. There we go. Okay. Sandwich. Never heard of it. And so, okay, fiction is general fiction. You end up with a lot of literary fiction, which generally I find extremely boring and pointless. I've heard of Martyr. I've heard it's good. I've heard good things about it. I'm not sure if it's something I would enjoy because it sounds very literary. Is The Wedding People the one I'm thinking of? Is okay. It's a Read with Jenna book, and that's another thing is I find that a lot of the books that make it here are celebrity book club picks, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's like they're getting hype from that, and I guess to a certain extent these are based on numeric thresholds. So I don't know. But of course, I'm sure they have their little secret recipe for how a book gets here. Wedding People, a propulsive and uncommonly wise novel about one unexpected wedding guest and the surprising people who help us start anew. She's immediately mistaken by okay, so Phoebe Stone arrives at the Grand Cornwall Inn wearing a green dress and gold heels, not a bag in sight, alone. She's immediately mistaken by everyone in the lobby for one of the wedding people, but she's actually the only guest at the Cornwall who isn't here for the big event. That does sound, yeah, I remember hearing about that and thinking it sounded kind of interesting. So, but I'm not seeing anything that is on my physical TBR or that I've heard wildly varying reviews of Margot's Got Money Troubles. The title sounds intriguing. Welcome to the I don't know how to say that, bookshop. It's about a bookshop. But I don't, I like Leon Moriarty, at least what I've read. But that's a long one. Does it say the page? It doesn't say the page count. Sally Rooney, Intermezzo. I've heard from people who DNF'd it because of something specific, but I can't remember what it was. And I tried reading a Sally Rooney book, and oh my God, it was so boring. It was so boring. So I don't think I will try another Sally Rooney book. Okay, so on to historical fiction. And I read a lot of historical fiction. It usually ends up being historical mysteries because I'm like, what good is it without, a mystery to solve? I tell you, I'm not a Kristen Hanna fan, so don't even suggest that. I already have a book by this author that I want to read before I pick up anything else. And no, that was The Trees Hunt? I think it was The Trees. I think that's the title. Maybe it was hyped. Does anyone know? Or is this fame new for Percival Everett? Most of these. Okay, I am getting ready to read that. I do not have a copy of it though. In fact, I'm on the waiting list, so I may have to buy this one if I want to read it, but anytime soon at least. And I do not have a physical copy. I think no, I borrowed a digital copy from the library, and I didn't get far enough during that book club, so oh well. Book Lovers Library. So yeah, if you see something on here that you recognize or you think I would enjoy, because a lot of these I've never heard of, or I've only like seen them on lists or something. The Bullet Swallower. I've heard of Lisa Wingate, but I've never read anything by her. Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Her premises always sound really interesting. Whether I enjoy her execution of the premise, however, is super hit or miss for me. And I have yet to find a 5-star book from her, so I'm a little wary. I'm not going to go out and buy a book by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I'll borrow it from the library, but right now I probably can't get it from the library. So, don't know anything about these others. So, on we go. Mystery and thriller. Okay. And here it always tends way towards the thriller section. And I'm like, why can't we just have a nice mystery? Okay, so here we go. Don't know anything about it. Don't know anything. Oh wait, I think I have that one, but on Kindle. I think that was a Kindle freebie first reads thing. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I have that one, but it does not work for my purposes now because it is not on my physical TBR. Home is where the bodies are. I've heard a little bit about that, but I think I looked at it and thought, yeah, it doesn't sound that interesting to me. I started reading Darling Girls, and then I had to give it back to the library. I should, and this was on the used book sales rack at the library the other day. I almost bought it because it's going to be on a list for next year, reading list for next year, book club list. But I'm thinking I might just skip that month because I read the first book and it's just, the neurodivergent rep was just really off. And I mean, I understand, and I've talked at length, I believe, about The Maid, which is the first book in this series. And I don't feel like reading the second book. I'm like, it's going to be more of the same weirdness. And I mean, everyone's experience is different, but it was so inconsistent and in weird ways. I mean, people are human. They don't have to be perfectly consistent, but it felt very wrong, which reminds me of the fact why I have not picked up all of the colors of the dark just yet, even though it's got a 4.37 average rating right now. And I mean, it sounds kind of interesting, but it's set in, okay, so where is it set? It's set in, mm, no, Gagger. Mystery thriller. Oh, you changed the order on me. How dare you? Why'd you do that? Okay, here it is. Fine, we'll do this. And it'll change again when I come back. So, 1975, Montclair, Missouri. In the small town of Montclair, Missouri. And this is apparently in the Ozarks. I've read other things that describe it as being in the Ozark Mountains, or the Ozarks, Missouri Ozarks. Okay, first of all, that name, that city name, town name, Montclair. What language is that? I mean, we have a lot of different languages in Missouri. Okay, I'm from Missouri. Grew up there, went to college in the Ozarks, spent probably I spent a good chunk of my life in the Ozarks. And okay, so Missouri has a lot of different place names that from a lot of different languages. You'll see Spanish, see French, you'll see German, a lot more French and German, but yeah, you'll see some Spanish too. And the thing is, Missourians butcher the pronunciations of these things, but they spell them correctly. Montclair. That makes absolutely no sense to me. I'm like, Chris Whitaker, have you ever been to the Ozarks? Please, I'm not getting the feeling that you have spent much time in the Ozarks. Yeah, I mean, we've got Lake Pomme de Terre, we've got Versailles, we've got Creve Coeur, but they're spelled right. So Montclair. So I'm just, that seems like a weird thing to latch on to, but it just embodies why I feel like this Chris Whitaker dude does not know anything about this. And why are you writing about this? Why? 1975? And I remember looking up when he was born. It's like I have spent time in the Ozarks in the 70s, and I'll be able to call you out whenever you mess something up, and I'm sure you're going to mess something up. So that's why I want to read it, but I'm anticipating that I'll tear it to bits, and I kind of feel bad about that because I should go into a book wanting to enjoy it. But okay, so let's go back, and yep, they're in a completely different order now. Okay, let's see. Don't know anything about that. I've started that, and then I had to give the book back to the library, so I bought the audiobook. So it's no longer on my physical TBR. Dang it. Frida McFadden. I don't know what to tell you about Frida McFadden. I own a Frida McFadden book, and I have not read it yet. So I am just totally reserving judgment on Frida McFadden. I hear a lot of different things, and it's just like, I'm gonna have to read it and decide for myself. Don't know that. I've heard that this one was not great. Lucy Foley is kind of hit or miss for me. Okay, so this is the one I DNF'd after 2 chapters, And I think there was nothing in those 2 chapters that really jumped out at me as you're going to hate this, but reading through the reviews, I think at best I will find it boring. And I'm more likely to just not get along with the authorial insertions that happen. But anyway, I just decided I didn't want to spend any time on this one, so I DNF'd it. Middle of the night, I'm waiting on, I think, the audiobook. I think I'm waiting on the audiobook from the library. And I did go ahead and put All the Colors of the Dark on my library list, so we'll see. I've heard this name, House of Glass. I think I've heard good things about this, but I don't really know enough about it to put it on my physical TBR. Here's another Frida McFadden. I mean, the woman's a juggernaut. What can you say? I mean, just chilling, making money. Hey, First Lie Wins. I remember thinking this one sounded really interesting. Evie Porter has everything a nice Southern girl could want: a perfect doting boyfriend, a house with a white picket fence, and a garden, a fancy group of friends. The only catch, Evie Porter doesn't exist. Okay, so it's a secret identity book. And I remember thinking that one sounded interesting. So, I don't know. So that one may be a possibility. I don't know if I'm ready to try another Rachel Hawkins yet. The first one was, I liked it, but I had some issues with it. There was a major plot hole that I didn't get along with. Mystery House we've talked about. I've heard mixed reviews on this one, How to Solve Your Own Murder. Listen for the Lie. I enjoyed this. I listened to this on audio, and I really think it should be listened to on audio because it has a podcast element to it. So if you like podcasts, I do recommend that. And so far I'm seeing, let's see, have I read anything else on here yet? Okay, that's the only one I have actually read, and I did enjoy it. I probably will not get to We Solve. I do want to read that, and maybe I'll go buy it. I don't know. I do, for mysteries, I really do like having a hard copy, because I like to be able to flip back and forth. And I'm sure the waiting list at the library is way too long. So am I on the, I might already be on the waiting list for that. So I'm going to go ahead and vote on Listen for the Lie, because I don't see myself reading any of the rest of these. Oh, and here it is. Yeah, currently reading. I don't see myself finishing any of these during this opening round. The Society of Lies. I like that cover. That's a Reese's book club pick. But I think I've gone through them all now. What is this one about? Okay. Romance. This will be quick because I have heard awful things about that. King of Sloth? What the hell? It's a romance? Okay. It's fourth in a series. I've heard so many people just gushing about this series, but doesn't sound all that interesting to me. Oh, I didn't even know Casey McQuiston had a new book out this year. So this is a queer romance, and interesting. I don't know. I think Casey McQuiston writes for a younger audience than I really appreciate. So I've heard of Bride. I've heard that's not great. And Allie Hazelwood's on here again. I have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I should read that. I think it was a Christmas gift last year, so maybe I should read it before Christmas this year. Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about these others, and I don't really care. Romantasy. Well, let's see if there's anything interesting. I have heard good things about Feybound, but it still doesn't sound like my cup of tea. Honey Witch, I like the title. That sounds kind of cool, but I have heard good things about that. Well, I've heard mixed things, and I haven't really heard whether or not it's cottagecore, stolen spell books, sweet jams, romance. I don't know. I don't know anything about any of these others. They all have really cool covers. Well, not all of them. Some of them, I don't know about this year, but I remember last year's, I remember people kind of laughing and pointing out the AI stuff on the covers. But yeah, the spell shop is the only thing here that really looks interesting to me. I'm not surprised by that. And then, okay, fantasy. Okay, Sorceress Comes to Call. I want to read that, and I put that on my Christmas wish list. So if you have my name for a swap, you know your assignment. I'm on the waiting list at the library for that one. An Academy for Liars. I have a feeling I'm not going to get it in time for the book club. I was almost done with this. I had like a few hours left of listening, and I didn't wake up in time to finish it this morning, and so Libby yanked it back. So I am liking it. The style seems a little flat, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to describe. It seems it's not in a bad way though. It just seems a little kind of slow, not meandery exactly, but I'm still enjoying it. So I don't have a problem with that. Ooh, P. Shelley Clark, The Dead Cattail Assassins. That is one I need to add to my wish list. Warm Hands of Ghosts, Catherine Arden. I don't know. So far, what I've read of Catherine Arden, her style is just a little bit too flowy and wordy, and I don't know. I don't want to say boring, but it does get kind of boring. I have heard all sorts of good things about The Tainted Cup. So, maybe. Ooh, Map of the Other Lands. I have read the first book in this series, and this is Emily Wilde #2. So maybe I should see if I can get a hard copy of that. Although it's probably still got quite the waiting list, the library. They're pretty books, though. Somewhere Beyond the Sea. Okay, now that is the sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which I did absolutely adore. So that is a possibility. That's I have heard this is good. But it's part of the All Souls thing, and I read the first one, and I felt it was like Twilight for grown-ups. And take that however you like. I mean, a lot of people, that's just what they want. If that's what you want, go for it. But I have a feeling I would not get along with reading the rest of that series. Queen Among Crows, Veronica Roth. I think she did Divergent. Is that right? Yeah. Actually, that sounds kind of YA. I wonder. The Book of Doors. A thrilling world of contemporary fantasy for readers of The Midnight Library, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Yeah. And these I'm not familiar with. So actually I think there's some really strong contenders. Who do I think will win? I don't know at this point, because there's several that I've been hearing lots of great things about. And I mean, I want T. Kingfisher to win because she's pretty much my new favorite author these days. Peter Lee Clark. Yeah, I want to read that. So there's a lot on here I want to read. But if I'm waiting for them for Christmas gifts, then I won't have them in time to read in this next week or so. Okay, science fiction. A lot of stuff I've never heard of. There's Orbital, which Brian was talking about earlier. A slender novel of epic power, Orbital deftly snapshots one day in the lives of 6 women and men hurtling through space, not towards the moon or the vast unknown, but around our planet. So they're on the International Space Station, and I kind of figured out about when in the near future this was set, and it was fascinating, and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't really think it was award worthy, but apparently the Booker folks disagreed with me, and that's fine. I do not begrudge Samantha Harvey her win. Of course, I probably haven't read any of the other Booker nominees, so who knows. Most of these I have not heard of. That's kind of a wild cover. Beautyland. Marie-Hélène Bertino. That's in translation. Can't tell. Red Side Story. Jasper Fforde. I haven't read any Jasper Fforde in a while. Jeff Vandermeer. I still haven't finished the Outreach trilogy. Outreach? No, what was it? Let's see if I do this. Can I actually read these things? Yeah, there we go. Southern Reach, the Southern Reach trilogy. So I've read the first book, Annihilation. I think I liked it. I didn't understand it well enough, and then the movie explained things a little bit better, I think. Service Model. Brian, have you read Service Model yet? I know I have not read it. I am about halfway through Walking to Aldebaran. Not to be confused with Alderaan, which anyway. That's a freaky book, but I don't have a hard copy of it, so. Ooh, I do have, well, I don't know. Something, okay, Mercy of the Gods, James S.A. Corey. Oh, this is a new series? Interesting. How humanity came to the planet called Anjin is lost in the fog of history, but that history is about to end. I don't know. That doesn't really sound appealing to me, but I have heard of Annie Bot. Could it be the perfect girlfriend for a human owner? Yeah. The Family Experiment. Oh, John Mars. I read the one, and it bothered me on a lot of levels that I didn't think it was that great. And um but a lot of people love it and they love his writing style. And I I suspect his books just aren't for me. I'm not the right audience. The Stardust Grail. Oh, that's a wild cover. Thrilling anti-colonial space heist to save an alien civilization. So yeah, so I mean, one thing about the Goodreads Choice Awards is that I do find out about books that I didn't really know anything about before. And, the ones that make it into the top 10, well, actually, I tend to like a lot of the lower ranked ones more than the ones that get all the buzz. And so I kind of gravitate towards the bottom 10, the ones that don't make it onto the next vote. But oh, um, so I have not finished anything but Orbital. I don't want to vote for Orbital here either, though. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it's just I don't consider it an award winner of a book. It's a good way to pass the time, but I got something out of it, but it wasn't a mind-blowing awesome book. Okay, and The Ministry of Time I have heard of, but I've also heard that it's kind of weirdly problematic. So I don't know. I'll probably wait and see what other people, people I trust their opinions on. I've just heard little bits here and there of, they didn't like this or didn't like that, but just from kind of random people. So I will wait until people who have similar taste to mine read it and see what they think, if they think I would like it. Or not necessarily have similar taste to mine, but at least understand my tastes. Okay. Oh, Service Model. Did enjoy Service Model. Was that a long one or was that one of his short ones? I mean, define short. I mean, but we do have a couple of his novellas that are really short, and Walking to Aldebaran is pretty short. Was it the Expert Systems Brother? Pretty short for Tchaikovsky. Well, that's not saying a whole lot. But maybe, I don't know, was there much buzz though around, was it hyped? The Expert Systems Brother, or the Expert Systems Brother, I think is the title of the first. There's like a pair of them, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's look at horror. All right. Oh, Bury Your Gaze. I pre-ordered that and I still haven't read it, but it's not on my physical TBR. I pre-ordered the audiobook, and that's what I have. Don't know anything about that. Don't know anything about that. Incidents Around the House. I started listening to the audiobook, but it's told from the perspective of an 8-year-old girl. And the narrator, I'm told that, she does a great job with, but I just couldn't get past all the 8-year-old girl voice stuff that it sounded like a toddler. And I don't, I'm on the waiting list for the physical book. So maybe, or do I have that? I don't know. I'll have to check and see. I think I'm still on the waiting list, unless I picked it up the other day. Anyway, Incidents Around the House. I don't know. I'm told it's really good, and so maybe it'll be a different experience with the physical copy. We'll see. Blood Like Mine. Don't know anything about that. I was okay. I actually DNF'd. I was a teenage slasher. It seemed like it was well written, but it's just not for me. The Bog Wife, I suspect, is not for me. I read Murder Road. It was a fun ride, but it does not hold up to scrutiny. And I like Simone St. James. I really enjoyed was it the Sundown Motel? And this one, I think, if they turned it into like a campy TV series, just kind of went with the general concept and a lot of these characters, because a lot of the characters are just amazing. It's yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not gonna vote for that one. I'm tempted to Diavola, but Bury Your Gaze. I do want to. I may have to listen to. Ooh, We Used to Live Here. That one's amazing. And how some books it's like, oh, get the audiobook. We Used to Live Here. You have to get the physical copy because it's. And that's kind of a trick. Well, at least when I got, I think the last copy that Barnes and Noble had, they had one warehouse that still had at least one copy, but I don't know how many copies they had. But everywhere else, Amazon was back ordered, bookshop.org was back ordered, everyone was back ordered, and I got one. They had one copy at through Barnes and Noble online. I'm like, okay. If I end up reading Bury Your Gaze, I have a feeling it's going to be a really tough decision. Diavola, I enjoyed Diavola. It had some problems. It's not perfect by any means whatsoever, but I had a really good time with this one, and it was really super creepy in some places. It's this Italian, family vacation from hell in an Italian villa, and yeah, it's pretty wild. I enjoyed that one. Not enough to vote for it here when We Used to Live Here right next to it, but so I don't know. I have a feeling I'm going to have some difficult decisions to make. The eyes are the best part. I keep hearing good things about this, but I can't get past the eyeball on the cover. And Angel of Indian Lake, I have not read the first two books in the trilogy yet, so not going to read that this time. My Darling Dreadful Thing, Johanna van Veen? Spirit companion only she can see. Ruth, strange, corpse-like, and dead for centuries. Oh dear. I'm not sure I could deal with that. You like it darker. So this is short stories. Ooh, Nick Medina. I really liked. I can't remember the title. I read it for a book club. And I think that was a debut, and it was really good. So, yeah, I'll have to look this one up. Ooh, Mariana Enriquez. Sunny Place for Shady People. I did not even know this existed. Huh. I've read another collection. Oh. Short for Tchaikovsky is 373 pages. Oh dear. No, I'm looking for a novella, like under 200 pages would be nice. It's a character study of a robot with imposter complex, but not at all like Murderbot. Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read that. Interesting. Okay. I have this in ebook format. I do not have a physical copy. Dang it. This is the second book in the Sworn Soldier series. I really enjoyed the first one, but myco horror is hard for me. I've heard this one is pretty mediocre. A 3.59 average? I didn't. Oh, I guess it has to be 3.5 or better. Wow. Huh. Yeah, but I've heard that's not very good. House of Bone and Rain. Gabino Iglesias. Okay. I have not read any of his stuff. I think I do have The Devil Takes You Home on audio, but I haven't listened to it yet. So I want to read that before I read something else. So yeah, I've got. So judging by this, I'm more of a horror reader than a mystery thriller reader. And see this. Well, I guess it's horror. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I have a feeling for me, it's going to come down between We Used to Live Here and Bury Your Gaze, because I have a feeling I'm going to have to just make time to read Bury Your Gaze. It's been on my list way too long. Debut novel. So there are going to be some repeats here. I think I saw that on something else, but yeah. Ooh, that's a wild cover. Ooh, wow. A wonderfully reimagined 15th century West Africa. Ooh. All right. The Things We Didn't Know. I've heard of that one. Yeah, it was hard for me to believe that We Used to Live Here was a debut. Debut. Didn't know that. I think I've heard that's good, but it doesn't sound like. Novel about a mother and her daughter's harrowing escape to Taiwan as the communist revolution sweeps through China. Sounds intense. That looks interesting. Voyage of the Damned. Special first edition hardcover. Ooh. Why? So of these, I am going to go ahead and vote for We Used to Live Here. Audiobook. Okay, so here's First Lie Wins again. So, okay, well, that's a good indication that I should get the audiobook instead of the Unsolved Murder. I don't know. With mysteries, I still like to have, I don't know. I enjoy the audiobooks. Like, I've listened to audiobooks for a lot of the Thursday Club Murder series, but hard to say. Revenge of the Tipping Point. I've never read The Tipping Point, so 1984. Interesting. Okay, so it's just this production of 1984. Interesting. Huh. Be ready when the luck happens. Ina Garten. And of course, there's Listen for the Lie. The Anxious Generation. Interesting. Huh. But I'm looking for a hard copy. And hopefully we're about to, we've got, I'm going to start kind of trying to zip through these because I'm not sure how much longer my voice is going to hold out. And my back hurts. So, reader's favorite young adult fantasy. And that's a sequel, and I don't know anything about any of these. Young adult fiction. Okay, so I think I've got, which series is this? I think I may have like the first in this series on audio. I don't know. I think I've heard that this one's good. It's a 4.1 average rating now. Heartstopper just really, I'm like, it's fine. It just did not wow me. So it's like, it just, I don't know, felt kind of bland to me. So 1984 will get yanked from Amazon. I don't, well, it's an Audible original, so probably not. I don't know how that's gonna work. Death at Morning House. Okay, no, I think maybe that's the series that, yeah, Truly Devious. Okay, so I've actually started listening to Truly Devious, and it's intriguing. On to nonfiction. Wow, this all looks depressing. I do not have any of these on hard copy. Some of these do look interesting. I'll have to look into them further. I think, yeah, this is on the voting for the nonfiction book club. So we're voting on our December-January book. And I remember this was one of the ones I voted for. So, but I do not have a hard copy of it. The Manicurist's Daughter. It's an interesting cover. Oh, and this one's also on the nonfiction book club list. Salman Rushdie, Knife, Meditations After an Attempted Murder. I voted for that one, I think. Toddler's Personal Assistant. Yeah. True story of heroism and disaster on the edge of space. January 28th, 1986. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm Gen X. I remember exactly where I was. I had just gone from lunch to the my honors American Lit class, Mrs. Gates' classroom. And somebody walked in and said, "Hey, the space shuttle just exploded." And we're like, "Don't even joke about that. That's not funny." And he's like, "I'm not joking." Yeah. It's still a punch in the gut. Oh, someone was just telling me about this. Elements of Marie Curie. Yeah, and so it's a biography of Marie Curie, how the glow of radium lit a path for women in science. And I never did read Galileo's Daughter, and I think I have something else by her. The Planets. I think she wrote The Planets. And so I should probably read that first. And I just remember thinking this sounded so much more interesting than the book I did read, which purported to be a biography of Marie Curie. And it was just a schlocky romance that could have been any two people at the Sorbonne. And I'm like, oh God, this is awful. Yeah, that one sucked. So this will be hopefully a much better book than that one. But I do want to read that. A history of the American bookstore. Ooh, that sounds cool. Um, well, I do not have any of these on hard copy. But we are at the end. So, did you see anything that you think I would really enjoy reading over the next week or so on from either this selection? I'm thinking, oh, here, I'll stop sharing. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I'm going to go from this pile that I showed you earlier. So I'm leaning towards Circe. So let me know if you think that one would be a good choice for me. I don't know. These all seem really like they'd be really good choices. So I'll just have to pick one. But anyway, thank you for hanging out with me. And like I said, if you're watching this, on replay, go ahead and put some comments down below, and I will try to get the description updated to reflect a few things that I mentioned that I'd have to look up. So hopefully we'll do that. And like I mentioned earlier, I do want to get into more of a regular Circe. Oh, Circe. Yeah, I think I'll go with Circe. But of course, if anyone else has some other comments or suggestions, maybe something that was just a nominee. I didn't go through all the nominees of the past years. I just looked at the winners lists and picked a bunch out. And but yeah, if you think of something from one of those, or doesn't have to be Goodreads buzz. Something that, if you can think of a book that I might have a hard copy of and that got a lot of buzz when it first came out, made sort of a big splash on the scene, that I haven't already read. I have been reading more new releases with some of these book clubs that I'm in, but yeah, go ahead and pop it down in the comments. And I don't know when I'll be up for another. I'm hoping to get back to like the weekly book report, and and maybe just because this has been a little over almost an hour and a quarter, and I'm I'm sort of on the edge of being able to do this. So if I do shorter things, maybe do the weekly book report and just the book report and how that fits into challenges and things, and then maybe other little short things updating specific challenges, maybe something like that. That could be good. Kiln People had some buzz when it was released, probably, yeah. And I've heard of it. And we do have a copy. It's a chunker though. It's like 400 pages, something like that. I don't know if I'm up to reading a 400-page physical book this week. Yeah, seriously. These I do also have seriously on audiobook, so I can switch back and forth. It's a mystery. Well, mystery's good. Mystery is good. I do like a good mystery. Um, and that's the nice thing about historical fiction is a lot of those are mysteries because they, you know, people have always been killing each other, so and stealing things from each other. Don't have to have a dead body for it to be a mystery. Um, but yeah, I thank you for all the comments so far, and look forward to seeing other comments in on the replay as time goes on. And the main character solves their own murder. Now that is pretty cool. Although I think there was a book on this nominees list that it's like how to solve your own murder or something like that. Huh. I wonder where they got the idea. But thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll try to be back sometime within the next week or so with probably a much shorter, much shorter live stream. Trying to save my voice and my spine and everything. But I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I'll talk at you later.